This is Matt Brown, and you're listening to Just a Good Conversation. I call track and field the sport of the beautiful people. Sprinters, hammer throwers, long jumpers, and pole vaulters. My guest, Jeff Cohen, calls them superheroes. And that might just be spot on.
When I look through that lens, I'm on the track with the athletes. I feel it. I get excited. I want to be out there. I think just because it's in my blood, and also because I know so many people out there. When I'm in the moat or I'm on the track, vocally like hooting or talking or going, "You see that?" or "Yeah, woo!" Like I know what's going on and I feel it. I know I'm looking at them at the starting line nervous, or I'm looking at them pushing through on the corner or jumping or what have you, and I feel it. It fires. I'm fired up. So I'm drawn toward it. I wouldn't say a drug, but it feels amazing.
I'm Matt Brown, host of Just a Good Conversation. Take a listen to all our archives. My guests have ranged from Oscar winners, cancer survivors, and former Dynalite owner, Peter Parumba.
There definitely needs to be more emphasis on training for life. Not all of us are going to be lucky enough to go to college, and even less of us will be lucky enough to know what they want to do in college. So in my particular case, as I mentioned, I was the only one in my family to actually get a high school diploma. So the fact that I had the opportunity to be in a vocational class was fantastic for me. And last time I checked, plumbers make good money. Electricians make good money.
Go to justagoodconversation.com for all our archives. Let's take a quick break for a sponsor before diving into my conversation with Jeff Cohen. Jeff, thanks for stopping by and doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
This is great. Sitting in your beautiful house on the 5th floor. This is fantastic.
There you have it. Welcome.
Lounging in on the couches. This is like the most lounged podcast I've ever done, and we're not even into it yet.
I'm glad.
This is fantastic. We've got all these photo books. We got TV. We can kick back, watch Sports Center after our little lunch.
There you go.
I wanted to have you on because obviously we met at one of the sports shooter workshops. I'm not sure what number, but number whatever. I've seen some real growth in your work from when I met you to what you're doing now. Like it is, and I hope you don't take this personally. It's matured. It's gotten better. It's gotten more focused. Like the quality of your events that you're taking have gotten so good. Where, and we'll dive into it a lot. And so when I was seeing this, I was going, okay, I want to have you on. I want to talk. You went through some unbelievable experiences with COVID and dealing with the Olympics and the hopscotch of 2021 Olympics, which was the longest Olympics ever, 1 year of it. Doing my research on you, there's very little. You were like the least ability to research subject I was able to find. You're a man of mystery.
That's correct.
Other than, I guess, you're running from the CIA. Tell me, where did you grow up and where were you raised?
I was born in Los Angeles, and I've been here my whole life. I live in Santa Monica at the moment. I've been in Santa Monica since I was about 9 years old.
Okay, so you're a West Bay guy.
I'm a West LA, West Side. Born and bred. It's my home.
Yeah. Well, trying to find these out on the internet, it's tough. I need to get like the CIA, FBI, and DWP involved. Like you were hard to track down. Where are you siblings? How many kids are brothers, nephews, cousins?
I have a stepsister.
Okay.
And I have a few cousins.
Did you grow up with mom and dad and hanging on the west side?
Mom, dad, west side. My parents were divorced when I was about 12 or 11.
That's mandatory, right, in LA?
I guess, yeah. So, my dad was living in West LA, and then my mom was in Santa Monica, and I went back and forth and started going to school in Santa Monica, and then went back to school in LA, and here we are.
Jump back and forth.
Yeah.
Did you have a childhood where a camera was around?
My dad always took photographs. Always had a camera, took pictures of me all the time, pictures of everything.
Did he love photography, or was that a career for him?
It was not a career, just a love.
That's even better.
And I always wanted to take pictures, and when I was about four, he gave me a little film camera, like a little plastic one. And I remember the first day we went to the fire station where they have the old, they have the open day for the fire station. You got to sit in the fire trucks, and I took a picture of the fire trucks. Then I would take pictures of, we used to go hiking every weekend, and I'd take my camera and then in the house, what have you. And that's how it kind of started. And it's my camera when I was a little kid.
What was the camera?
I think it was a Diana, I believe, plastic. It was blue and black.
What do you think made him go like, okay, I'm going to entrust you with this?
Maybe because he saw I was drawn toward it. My parents are always very proactive. They always encouraged my creativity, always drawing and painting and crayons and coloring books and whatever, art books, going to museums. I had books on Picasso and Chagall and Clay and Rembrandt, and my parents keep telling me from this day, oh yeah, you would say, oh, I like Mark, I like Pablo. And I was always drawn to art, being art, and they were always very they liked me being artistic, and
that's good.
So supportive on that. So with the photography, my dad always did it, so I wanted it too. So we just took pictures, and then he'd go down, he'd take it to a little photo mat or that little hut on the corner, and you turn in your little 110 camera, your other camera, and I get the film back, and there you have it. Did
he kind of, when you made your photos, and you guys were looking at the prints later, did he kind of say, "Oh, this was good, Jeff," or "Try this or that," or did he just let you free range?
No,
just go.
I don't remember anything like that. But it's just fun taking pictures.
That's awesome. Do you have any of those photos?
My mom probably does. I'm sure.
Good mom. File them all away.
Yeah.
Do you remember your next camera, or was it something that you just stuck with for a while with what you had?
Well, I had that as a little kid, and I think later on in my early teens, preteens, I started using. My dad let me use his. I wanted to use his camera. He had a Nikon F, and I got that, and I started using Nikon F. Later on in high school, I borrowed his Nikon FA, which it had the matrix metering,
right?
And it just went from there, and that's how it kind of. That's what I remember.
What do you like shooting back then? Do you remember in high school what you were shooting?
My friends skateboarding, my friends playing volleyball, some of my friends doing stuff, just hanging out, the beach, just places that I went. I was always the kid with the camera. Oh, Jeff's a photographer. Oh, the camera, Jeff with the camera. I always carried it everywhere.
Black and white or color?
Mostly black and white.
Okay.
I did color as well, but then when I was a sophomore in high school, there was a photography course. And, you got to pick an elective. Okay, whatever. Okay, photography. That'll be easy. I didn't really learn much in the photography course, but I liked it because I could sit in the darkroom for hours, and I learned how to develop black and white film. And I always got, great grades in the class. But it was super fun for me. It was like no work. And I was like, this is great. And then I just go out and take pictures. I played volleyball as well, so I take pictures of volleyball. I take pictures of everything.
Jeff with the camera.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing to be Jeff with the camera.
And then later on in college, I started taking more color slides. And
now that's advanced step in there.
So this was actually in high school. I was always at the beach. I surfed. I always surfed and played volleyball. So I was at the beach. I started working at a volleyball store in high school, end of high school, and I was just playing beach volleyball at the beach with like the world championships, like St. John Smith and Randy Soklos and all these people. I knew them, and I was like the kid, and so I'd start going to AVPs, beach volleyball, pro volleyball, and I'd take my camera, my like 7200, I'd have my FA.
Right.
And I'd take all these shots in slides, and I knew the players, and I would just take pictures, and that's how it kind of started. On the sports wise.
Did you go to school with any thought of this possibly being a career, or it was just a side thing for you?
It was just for fun.
Okay.
It was fun. I loved the lifestyle. I was a part of it, and it was fun. I loved looking at the pictures afterwards. It's like, oh yeah, that's a cool shot. Look at that.
Where did you go to school? Did you stay local?
I went to Santa Monica College.
Okay.
I went to school at Grossmont College. I went to San Diego State. I went to school in Spain. My first year out of high school, I went to school in Spain for a year.
Wow. How was that?
Amazing. I was 17 years old. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And my friends were going to, oh, what are you going to take? I'm going to take sociology. I'm going to take business. I'm going to take this. Oh, Jeff, what do you want to do? I don't know. My parents said, well, if you want to go to a different country, well, we'll pay for you. You can go and check it out. If you don't like it, you can always come back, go to college and start your way. And I said, okay, well, where do you want to go? I don't know. French, Spanish. I guess Spanish is more useful here. So, oh, we know our friend's daughter went to school in Spain. Oh, well, you can go there. So then I went to Spain for a year, and then came back, and then started my freshman year in San Diego.
Wow.
And I finished at CSUN.
Okay.
So
what was your thought process? Did you think photo in any way? Like, I could do this? Or were you going to school and photo was still something on the side?
I never thought of it as a job per se.
Or could it be a job? Was that maybe your thought?
It was. I started all through in Spain and through college. I started taking pictures of like more cultural travel photography, color slides, and always amazing stuff. I would show my friends. My friends would come over and we'd look at. They always want to see my pictures. I'd pull out my slideshow. I'd do a little slideshow, or I'd pull out my little light box and look at the photos with the loops.
Right.
And then, and the girls would be like, "Oh my God, Dad, look at this!" They always want to look at my pictures. And that was enough for me. Later on, when I came back out of college, I started doing like group shows and gallery shows. People always wanted me to do shows. I've done a few of those. But it was
just your travel work at that time.
Travel, and I did some LA cultural like Cholo lowrider stuff too.
Okay,
which I have the book right there. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it was fun. It was more like you go to the gallery. It's kind of a party, a little bit of. I don't know about celebrity, but it's fun being a part of it. It's like a big artsy group,
right?
But I made a couple $100 off of this here and there.
That's what I was going to say. Were someone throwing you a couple of bucks here and there?
Yeah. I sold some photos and this and that. It was kind of fun and nice, but it was nice to be a part of that. And it feels good.
Sure.
People say, "Oh, I love your stuff. It's great," and it's a great way to meet people as well.
Right.
But like you say that, it's kind of hard to find information about me.
Right.
I've thought about this before. People asked me about this before. I don't. Getting like the accolades and putting myself out there is kind of like I get more excited about seeing my photos afterward for myself, rather than I don't need the attention. Okay.
The press and the exposure that comes with it afterwards.
I don't need everybody coming up to me, oh my God, or
love your
anything.
Work, hey.
Yeah. It's kind of always been like, okay, thank you. I get more excitement out of doing it and seeing my work for myself.
Right.
And maybe I should put it out there more.
Right. But, at some point, yes, you should.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're mature enough now to be like, okay, you can handle the accolades and the people patting you on the back because you've put in the miles.
Yeah.
The time. And
I'll always help and always be gracious. I've learned how to be gracious about it and say, I thank you.
So what was your career path then early on if it wasn't going to be photography?
I was doing real estate.
Okay.
Family business, property management. And so I was able to do that, which kept me going, which allowed me to have fun with photos and travel and do that other kind of stuff. When
did you start to then feel like I'm going to take photos a little more seriously instead of making it be the back burner, hang out with the cholos and making a book okay, I got to put in these 10,000 hours to actually get to the next level, or Yo-Yo Ma kind of.
I never really thought about it that way. We'll go into my track and field now. So my dad used to run in high school and college. He won the LA City cross country. He's one of the best runners in the state. He's always been a fan. I've been going to track and field meets since I was in diapers. My first heroes.
Because Dad went?
Yes, so he'd take me.
Yeah, he loved going to Drake or wherever, SC.
Yes.
Mount Sac relays.
San Diego.
Right.
We went to Finland. We went to Seville. We went to Osaka, like world championships. Like it was father-son track meets.
That's awesome.
My mom would come with us, when I was younger too, but so
he was into it then if he was pulling you all over the place like that.
No, I loved it too. It was great. And you get to know everybody. And again, many of the times we go to these events that last over 10 days, I'd take his camera and I'd be gone, taking pictures all around the stadium.
Wow.
He'd be sitting there chatting away with all the trackies, and I'd have the camera and I'd be gone for 2 hours, different angles in the stands, going up and down and taking photographs.
What did he run?
He ran the 8 to 15 cross country.
Ooh.
So
8 and a 15.
Yeah.
That 8 is murder.
Yeah.
Good Lord. So when you're walking around the stadium shooting, are you just happy snapping? Right? Like no idea, just like, oh, pretty stadium from elevation, maybe get people in the foreground. Like, what was your thought?
I was into the athletes. I was into the sport.
Okay.
I since I grew up on it, these are my heroes. As I love the sport, and I just want to get closer and be a part of it. And I guess with the lens, you get in there and you get right on the track, you're right in their faces.
Who early on was somebody that like put a spark in you? Athletic wise, what athlete were you drawn to?
Shit, there was back at UCLA. There was like Evelyn Ashford and Greg Foster, and Carl Lewis came way later.
Right. Yeah.
Dwight Stones was there back in the day.
Okay.
There were when we go to these international meets. There'd be like Eamon Coughlin, who was an indoor mile champion from Ireland. There was Steve Scott. U.S. miler. So many. I'd run around and get autographs.
Wow. So it wasn't a 100 guy or a shot put. It was all the athletes at that event.
And it was all. And also, what made a difference is if the athletes, we had to stick around and got autographs. And if they spoke to me and gave me an autograph and like gave me a hug or wanted to take a picture with me, I would like them even better. It was about a personal connection. Sure. And it's funny because I often tell the athletes when I'm on the track, I'm like, autographs, super important, good for you, fans. I was that little boy. Yeah. Always give autographs to all the record fans.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Huge difference.
I can still feel it.
Oh yeah. No, there's like, I don't know, I've met just about everybody who wants to be important. Yeah. But you know what? It was the autographs as a kid is the ones that are totally the special.
Yeah, just showing it you part of your time or saying, hey, high five or smiling or it was amazing. I remember, I think it was 1976, and we went up to Berkeley. They used to have these USA, USSR dual meets. And obviously they don't have them anymore. They stopped right after that.
Right.
So it was USSR, Russia against USA. And I'd always go to these different big meets. And I remember Steve Scott. I don't know if you know who Steve Scott is. He was like our number one miler.
Yeah, Irvine, UCI guy.
Yep, exactly. And I'd see him at a bunch of meets. And there was a time I remember seeing him after. I'd always take a picture with my dad. Take a picture of me. I was 6 years old or 7 years old, and I saw him after that meet. And he won the cup. He won the race. And I remember he put the cup on my head. And I took a picture. He said, "You're like, hey, it's my mascot." He would call me his mascot because he would see me all the time after the meets. Wow. And and for me, as a little kid, it was really cool. Oh. I'd be like, Steve. So. It's super important for the athletes to really acknowledge little kids, I think.
So track then was a love, and you blended that camera with it.
So going back to me running around with the cameras all the time, I didn't want to sit there. I wanted to in the stands for 5 hours. Right. I went all around. I went to the finish line. I went to the up and down. I dodged the ushers. I went all over the place. Sure. And eventually how I got to where I am today is that around 2010 or 2009, going to Olympics and World Championships, I'd look on the field, I'd see all the photographers at the finish line. And I'd look on the track and I'd see the athletes warming up or doing their rituals or something happening over here. And I said, that's the shot. That's what I want to see. I care about that. I don't care about them coming across the finish line with their hands in the air. Right. I said, they're in the wrong spot. And so I said, I could do that. So I started doing it. And I created a website.
Now, when you say you saw them not in the right spot,
because for what I wanted.
From what you wanted. Yes. Like you wanted to see this.
They were in the right spot for them.
For them. Yes. See, that's the weird thing. If you're shooting for a wire, a team, USA, or you're shooting for South Korea, you've got to get a certain thing. But if it's your point of view, and that's the great thing about photography, I want to see this.
Yeah, correct.
And that's what's awesome. Track allows that because it's so vast in its space.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to see something different, and everybody was doing what I was looking at and I wanted to see. I didn't see people doing that. I couldn't find it on the magazines or what have you. So I said, I can do that. I never thought that I was going to be on the field. And it was never a dream. It wasn't even there. I was like, I didn't even think about it. Those are professional photographers.
Right. I'm just Jeff. I'm going to make some pictures.
I just love the sport. I make good pictures. And then I started, the internet came out, and I made a website and started submitting some pictures and applied for credentials, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are is right. When you're reaching out and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to make some pictures and someone's going to come for it, because as you know, track is important to America and the world. Well, no, to America, because the world is much more important around the world. Because we used to watch, maybe Mount Sac used to be big, Penn relays in the United States, but sometimes it would have to be every 4 years. So who's looking for photos that you're making when that market is so small?
Yeah.
Is it the athletes looking for the photos, or is it corporate sponsors, or who's looking for your work early on in your career to jumpstart you?
Early on, well, there were sponsors, there were shoe companies, there were athletes, there were the federations.
And they're just finding
certain
your
products,
right? And they're just finding your stuff online, or
yes.
are you soliciting to them like, hey,
online.
ASIC, like, listen, I got these, photos. Are you interested?
Online. So they call me.
Really?
They write me.
Now, was that because of the metadata you put in, or do they get to, like, how do they find you early on in that career?
I don't know. I think it was a lot of getting to know the athletes.
Okay.
I always spending time before and after and in training camps with athletes. They got to know my name. So-and-so. Oh, so-and-so told me that you have photos. You might have photos of them. I got emails and calls all the time from, so-and-so recommended you.
Right. Relationship building with athletes is huge.
Yes. That's amazing. And it's one of the best parts of the whole deal is being close to it. As being that little boy who's a track fan.
Right. Sitting
down with Allison Felix at a training camp, or just when she's training and breathing hard and talking about whatever. And not having my camera, not doing anything. It's just unbelievable. It's the best. You can't buy it.
Right.
So, and that also, having times like that also gives me a special insight into special moments, which I gravitate towards during competition.
So those early years, the internet was a huge plus for you. Yeah. Driving traffic, making things happen.
Without it, I don't know how. It wouldn't be like, maybe I would, but that's what did it.
Were you upgrading gear, or were you still shooting very minimal?
I was, I think probably a D3 at the time.
But just keeping it simple, stupid.
Borrowing my dad's, and my dad would get another one, and I'd get I'd get his hand-me-down. I'd borrow it.
Thank God for Dad's hobby.
Yeah. Now then I would borrow the good one and give him my handy down. And he was finished. So he loved to see me, absolutely go for it.
Right. So those early years, when did you start to, or how did you develop your growth? Because you can't keep shooting very simple photos. Yeah. You want to start making better photos.
Well, I think starting out and getting the credentials and going on these competitions, I was a little more timid, and I watched other people, and I kind of sat back.
Okay.
And then I would eventually get more comfortable, and I kind of held back a little bit, and also just learn through experience. I would get closer and see what I could do, how far I could push the button, and what I could capture. And I do take a lot of risks. I always tell young photographers that I gamble all the time. A lot of times maybe I shouldn't, but 90% of the time it works out.
Now, when you're saying gamble, are you saying shoot tighter, shoot looser, shoot panning? What's your gamble?
All of the above. Like, say if
photographers go left, you go right?
If there is a group of 30 photographers in one spot, I will not want to be there. I will go looking into the sun. I will challenge myself. I will pan. I will do something where they are not, just because I don't want to be like them. That's another thing that I do.
Right.
And it might not, it's a gamble. It's not safe.
Right. Absolutely.
But it's like I said, 90% of the time, I get something really cool out of it.
Right. And if anything, your imagery is going to look different.
Yeah.
So then someone's going to come knocking because the other 35 images are all the same.
Yeah. So again, I go back to where I'm from the stands and I see everybody right there. And I say, I want to see something different.
Right.
I guess I always want to be different a little bit. I don't want to be the norm. And
that's okay. That's what works. That's what makes us all different.
Yeah.
Is being able to see something a little differently.
Yeah.
So when you're reaching out trying to get those credentials, who are you just blind calling? Hey, Bill from, USA.
Yes. So the credentials, I just going on the website and I'm looking for any type of media contact or anything. And I write, hey, I'd love to get credentials for this meet. Yeah. Sometimes I still don't know anybody. Sometimes I know a friend. I mean, I know a lot more people now, and
sure.
Connections, what have you. But
Absolutely.
Sometimes if I want to go shoot a sport or somewhere, I look up the SID, the guy in charge of the media, or some school or what have you. And I say, hey, can I do this? And I put a little link to my photos or my website, and that's it. And usually I get it.
That's it.
Yeah, I just have to try. And sometimes sometimes it doesn't happen, but it's rare. But
you got to be proactive.
Yeah, whatever.
If you never made that email or call, it's no.
Yeah.
But at least you put your face out there and you took a chance. If you get 75% say yes, you're in.
Another thing I learned when I was at CSUN, and I had my last semester to graduate, and I needed one class to graduate, and they didn't offer it that semester. And I was like, oh man, I got to go to school another whole year. It's in the rule book. If I don't have this class, I'm not going to be able to graduate. And I go, okay, well, I might as well just go talk to the dean of my school. Okay, whatever. So I walk in there, already decided, it's already in the rule book. Why bother ask? I can't do it. I'm going to have to go to school for another year. I go in there. He says, oh, what would you like to do? Well, this is my predicament. He goes, well, what would you like to take? Well, maybe I could do this. Okay, that's fine. I'll okay that for you can graduate. You take any course you want. Good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Go ahead. All I did was ask. And the dean said, oh, no problem. I made up the story in my head that it wasn't possible because of someone I read. And all I did was ask, and it totally changed, and I was able to get my class. So it's kind of the same thing. If you don't ask, you'll never know.
That's unbelievable.
So
that's it. That's what you got to do. Step forward.
So many people, there's a rule. There's something they want to do, and there's a book that says, "Oh no, you can't do this," and they'd already decided, and they walk away.
Right.
Just you already lost anyway. Go ask.
Take the chance.
9 out of 10 times you're gonna be like, whoa.
Yeah. Take the chance.
Yeah.
So when you're out there, those first couple of years, it's getting better. You're getting more work.
Yes.
Feeling good?
Yeah, absolutely. It feels good. Yeah.
You still got your day job.
Yeah.
So you're juggling track meets as much as you can everywhere.
Yeah.
When you're going out there, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to make pretty pictures that can sell? Are you trying to make high impact photos? Are you trying to shoot product? What becomes Jeff's commercial mindset?
For me, and I think what I'm known for, what people come to me for, I just shoot what I want to shoot artistically and what my eye sees. Of course, if there's a big story or there's I have to capture that. Mm-hmm. There are some times where I have to be a little bit safe. I choose to be safe and get the shot. Sometimes I have clients where I have to get the shot of something. Like I said, if there's a big story, you have to get it.
Right.
But most of the time I want to try something different. And most people come to me and say, yeah, you're different. You get more of the feeling. If the athletes tell me, other people tell me this, yeah, your photos feel different. I tend to think that I'm capturing more of the essence of the sport rather than just a sports photo.
Right.
And athletes have told me yeah, you can feel it. You get different shots and, warming up or stretching or just our emotions or just do other things rather than competing. And they like that.
Right. It's not just a straight on headshot of someone running in the 100.
some action shot.
Right. I noticed, especially a lot of stuff from Tokyo, there's a lot of detail stuff. Sweat on abs and nails and stuff. And I love that stuff because track lends that stuff. There's so much of that beautiful stuff in track.
My eye is drawn toward colors and details.
Yeah. That goes back from that early exposure from mom and dad just rolling out, books for you to just absorb.
Just my eye, yeah. I just
go for it.
I compose when I look at everything.
Now, when did you then take that next, I guess, step where you go, okay, I got to invest. I can't keep borrowing from dad. Mm-hmm. I got to go in. I got to get pro gear. I got to stop borrowing his whatever next.
When I shot my first Olympic trials in 2012.
That's where the step forward was, okay, I'm all in.
I said, hey, this is amazing. This is crack. This is great.
You got hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was in.
Isn't that crazy? That's what it takes.
I said, I want everything I want the best of all. I'm not messing around. I want the best tools that I can get.
Right. At some point.
I want to play.
Yeah.
This is it.
So what'd you do? Just run to Sammy's or wherever you could and just be like, okay, I got to get
B&H. I had photographer friends and this and that. I just looked around at all of what my peers were using and this and that. And I knew nothing about, the media room and everybody's on their laptops getting the photos out and this and that and all the gear and the big lenses and this and I nothing. I knew nothing.
Because you were pretty bare. You were still taking your stuff home, tinkering on it.
Yeah, home and then to my, back home to my computer.
Right.
And I'd edit it and load it up.
Yeah, they're on deadline, so they're just banging out images all day long.
Yeah.
And you're like happy-go-lucky Jeff going like, okay, I'm just going home. Bye, fellas.
Yeah. Which is kind of weird. And I don't like to. Yeah, I kind of like mellow out on that.
Yeah. No, I actually do better sometimes. Not on deadline where I can just get me through and focus the whole event. You get taken away going and, okay, for the next couple hours, I got to get these photos out and I got to go back and I was shooting this event and I got to get the photos out.
Yeah.
You kind of get out of the rhythm.
Fortunately, I have the opportunity where I don't have to take a lot of clients before competitions and assignments. And I've done that before and I don't care for it.
Right. It's tough.
But a lot of people don't have the opportunity to do that. They have to get paid up front and have to have the job. I get a lot of my calls after the meets. Like I'm getting emails this week and last week for shots in the Olympics, like from big companies.
Right.
And from athletes. I'm not marketing whatever. They come to me. I'm like so fortunate. I realize that. I've taken, assignments where I have to go shoot 30 athletes and get it out to them within, you're back in the room and you're editing this and that and you have to get it out within an hour or what have you. And I'm totally stressed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but primarily I'm not getting the shots that I want to get for my eye because I have to get runner Smith in lane 6.
Right.
And I have the world record holder in lane 7. I have another one in lane 1, but I have to get lane 6. And there's a trash can right behind their head, and then their arm is, and it's like, I don't want that shot, but it's a job.
Right.
So after that,
gotta get it.
Yeah, no, you do it, and I understand it, and I do take some assignments if they're small, and it still allows me to have the freedom and take what I want to see and do what I want to do.
Right.
Because it's fun for me. I love it.
So you make that jump, you go all in, you throw down the credit card, you start buying up gear. Where do you start thinking, okay, next level, I've got to start making better images or more images because now we're putting some serious coin behind this. Mm-hmm. Is that 12 after that Olympic trials?
Yeah.
You're just like, whew, okay.
Yeah. I never really thought of it that way. I just was like, I'm going to take better stuff. I got more comfortable. I got to know people. More people started contacting me for images. It's a love, and I want to keep it that way, as long as I can. I was never really that stressed about it. I didn't. If I started thinking about something where I had to do something, I was like, okay. I just kind of took a breath and just, okay, you know what? This is fun. I'm going to just do my thing. It's working out. I'm going to have a good time, get the good images, do what I can. So I never really hit that level of being panicked or anything.
That's good.
So it's a love. Like I get excited. I walk into a stadium. I just want to sit there, and it's so exciting. It's the best seat in the house.
When did you shoot your first Olympics?
My first Olympics being credentials was Tokyo.
Right, but prior to that?
1984.
Okay.
So one of my first memorable track photo, I mean, I took photos when I was a little kid, but was Carl Lewis crossing the finish line in his first gold medal in LA. We had seats on the other side of the stadium. I told my dad, I'm going to go take pictures, try to get some pictures of the 100. So I took his FA, and it was a 35 to 105, and 36 exposure.
Sure.
Slide film. I was 13 years old, and I made friends. There was an usher. I remember this guy. He had a mullet and a mustache, and he was on the top. He was the usher for the row at the finish line.
Okay.
And I made friends with him, and we started talking. He's all, come on, I'll take you down to the rail. And for the finals of the 100-meter final in the Olympics, Carl Lewis, he brought me down to the rail. I was right on the rail, and I have a picture of Carl Lewis raising his hands at the finish line, Ben Johnson looking at him, 84 Olympics. And I have it somewhere on the internet. I have that photo, but that's one of my most memorable first track photos.
Wow. Were you thinking, you obviously had to know how to expose your slide film. That was, and were you thinking, or did you even have an understanding of how big the event was that you were photographing at that moment?
I knew that it was the pinnacle of the Olympics.
Yeah.
This was through track, but I was excited. I wanted to get the shot. I was hunting. I'm gonna go get the shot. It was exciting.
When you came back to Dad, did you tell him, I think I got it?
Probably. I said, yeah, I got down the rail. I think I got the shot. I got the finish.
Getting to the rail was half the adventure.
And then the next event was on 3 minutes later, so it was constant.
Right.
The track meets are like boom, boom, boom.
Oh yeah, especially at that level, it's just moving them out. Do you do 88? Do you go to Seoul or what? Or when's your next?
I didn't go to Seoul. I think what did I do? I didn't. When I was going to college, I was going to college and surfing a lot and this and that. And I didn't do track for a number of years, but then I did Athens,
okay,
Sydney, Beijing.
So when you let's say Beijing, for instance,
yeah.
When you go to that, how much camera gear are you taking in as a fan? Because you're not credentialed.
No. 7200, 24 to 70. I think I brought a fisheye. And the teleconverter.
Okay.
And then you always have, it depends where you are, but sometimes I don't like big lenses in.
Right.
So then sometimes I would have my, I think at Beijing I probably had a D3 or something. And I'd have my 24 to 70 and I'd have my dad carry my 7200 in his little bag. So we were totally separate, so they couldn't put it together. Uh-huh. So that's how I kind of got him in, sometimes.
Now, when you're shooting that, are you trying to, again, slither your way into that front rail and make that photo?
Yes. So I had, sometimes I would have a neckband with a plastic card holder, and I put my ticket in there and I turn it backwards. So it looked like the other credentials of all the photographers.
Right.
And then, when you're walking down the stairwells get down to the front rail, and there's a lot of people going by and there's photographers walking by, I'd hold my camera up on my shoulder so you'd see a 7200, look like a professional photographer.
Right.
And I'd have my thing, it looked like a credential, but it was so fast the usher couldn't tell, so I just walked and act like I know what I was doing.
Dart with the rest of them.
Yeah, act like I knew what I was doing, and then it worked 90% of the time.
Down, you're there. That's awesome. But you tried. What's the worst that can happen in a communist country?
Oh, well, they just say, hey, no, they put their hand out and you can't be here. Okay, sorry. And I go the next row. And then that person wasn't looking.
Right.
I mean, they're all volunteers anyway. So.
Right. They are. That's it. Prior, let's say, we'll take Sydney, Athens, Beijing. What was the best photo you took in those 3 Olympics? They're like, okay, this is still feeding my desire.
Beijing, Usain Bolt, world record.
Okay.
200 after he won, hands up in the air. staring out. I was in the right spot at the right time.
Right. How much did he take off of that world record because he celebrated too early? Big dummy.
Many do.
Yeah, many do. They don't realize it.
They stand up. But speaking to some of them after the fact, they don't realize they're doing it.
Yeah.
They get excited and they celebrate before because they know they're winning their gold medal or whatever. So
it happens. Okay, so we jumped back to 12. 12, you're in. When do you decide? Okay, I've got to get paid to get to this Olympics. I'm going to make money. I got to get there. Is it trying to at Reno for Brazil?
Rio?
Yeah.
I didn't go to Rio.
Okay, but was there? But did you think about it? Or
yes, Rio. Well, there was. I think Rio. They had. Was it some kind of flu or something was going on there as well, or something, or it was the economy or something was weird, right? So I was on the fence with Rio up until months before.
Okay.
And I didn't know about logistics. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be this. You're going to have to drive 3 hours to get here and this and that. And I was really stressed about it for some reason. I didn't, I have to go buy this $3,000 flight and the hotel. And then I don't know, I'm going to have to wake up and I'm going to have 4 hours in a bus every day. And you don't know where you're going to be and this and that. And I decided within a couple of months before that, I'm not going to Rio. I'm going to go do the European circuit after Rio.
Okay.
I'm going to go do Paris, Lausanne, Zurich, Stockholm or something.
Okay.
And once I decided that, I felt the big weight lifted off me, and I went to Europe instead. But about making money, again, I had a couple clients, but for the most part, people contact me afterwards.
So you would go and work Europe.
Yes.
With no money at that point, other than I hope I make it on the back end.
Yeah.
Good God, man, that's brave. Because you could have come back with goose eggs.
Yeah, true.
If the athlete doesn't perform, they don't show up,
True.
weather's bad.
Yeah.
Name all the.
Yeah, I mean, I had not much. A couple. You're going out there. Okay, I want this, and that. Like nothing. Not going to pay for the plane flight.
Right.
But afterwards, but it's always paid off for me. I can more or less break even or make some more money. Again, it's a labor of love for me.
But you were fortunate because you had another job. You weren't only living off of this.
That's correct. And also back then, like now, there's a lot more photographers out there.
Oh yeah.
Having to do a lot with the technology and the ability to get a great camera for a less price and what have you. 5-7 years ago, everybody was calling me.
Right. So you're getting less of those phone calls because there's so many more people?
I would, yeah. I mean, because I see a lot of other people's work out there and a lot of other companies working with them.
Right.
And hey, that's great.
Sure. That works.
Yeah.
Did you ever become like an absolute over-the-top gearhead where you're like, oh, I'm with Nikon, but I want to switch to Canon because they've got this, or I need this lens, or I want to do that? Or did you stay pretty simple in your lane? I
started out with Nikon. I had a Canon for a couple of years. I don't remember. 15 years ago. And then with
it's like an old girlfriend. I
think when the D3 came out or something, I went back to Nikon. And of course, there's always something better or what have you. But I've stuck with Nikon. I have so much Nikon glass and bodies. I just stuck with it. And meeting people in the Nikon company, they've always helped me out. I could borrow lenses when I want. When I go to big events, I know people. They help me out. No, it was cool. I went to Tokyo and the Olympics, and they had, every Olympics they have Nikon and Canon and Sony. The big tents, the big tents, and you can go use whatever you want. And they'll repair and they'll clean your gear. This time, the head of Nikon was there, and he asked me to come talk to him and his engineers about what I think and this and that. And I sat down for an hour with like 8 of these Japanese. Oh, this is the guy who built the. This is the guy who built the sensor. This is the guy who did the motor drive. This is the guy who does the body. This is the guy. I was kind of blown away. They're like, well, you want to talk to me? But it was really, it was pretty cool.
What feedback did you give them?
They looked at my work and I just told them what I liked, what I didn't like, things I didn't know, what I want better. I mean, spoke for like an hour, but it's just getting to know like my relationship with Nikon and the people there, and it's so easy for me to stay with them, and it was friendly. I don't know.
Because we had that experience in, I think it was 15. Mark Subin brought a Nikon engineer out, and we were talking to him, and the things that we wanted, they couldn't understand. Like simply like the old F5 had a button you had to push, and then you click the on-off button. It would lock it.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't just, now that doesn't happen. You can easily turn the on-off button. So you can walk around at a track meet for certain.
Yeah.
And you can be firing off pictures of your back of your feet
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just put a little button in to save me from editing out 200 images of my ass.
Correct.
You didn't understand. Oh, no big deal. I'm like, well, it kind of is. It delays the process.
Yeah.
It eats up. Little things like, I know Robert Husky always, this used to drive him nuts when we would FTP and you put the code in, it never showed you what you were putting in. It gave you the circular dots, like you were putting in some secret code. Well, you want to make sure you're spelling in the FTP correctly.
Yeah.
Something like that they wouldn't fix. But, for them to sit you down and want to hear what you have to say, that's big. That's what you want companies to do, is to take in some of your input.
No, that was a really cool moment for me. I didn't expect that.
Right.
I thought it was just going to be me and the guy talking for half an hour. But there were 7 of these Japanese engineers sitting there, standing there, nodding their heads and very nice and looking at my pictures. Oh, yes, look at that. Oh, how did you do this? Oh, and it was pretty cool. I have a photograph that I took at the European Championships one year, and I borrowed one of their Zoom, I don't know, what is it, 4:6 or 180:4 or something like that. And it has a built-in teleconverter. And I was taking a shot from above of 100 meters or something. And I was looking at the lens, and it was kind of just, okay, this is kind of a typical shot. And I noticed that when you switch the teleconverter over, in between, if you just hold the teleconverter in the middle of the lens, you get half an image, half magnification, and half the non-magnification. It's kind of like a dual image thing. And I shot that, and it came out pretty cool. And I showed that to them, and they go, "Oh, they'd never seen that before."
Right, because to them that would be a mistake.
Yes, yeah, and they liked it. So it was kind of fun.
That's great. So when are you thinking? Are you thinking Tokyo in 1819? I got to be ready for 2020. Like, financially, time, set up clients. Like, when do you start planning your Olympics? When
I got the credential, when I actually got the the okay.
Okay. And who are you reaching out to? Because you got to say, like, the Olympics are tough.
Yeah. So. I have a relationship with USA Track and Field, and that, of course, you need that. So first you apply through them, through your sports federation, and then they submit it off to the U.S. Olympic Committee. You know the deal, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Then the U.S. Olympic Committee assigns you a person to litigate for you to see if you can get credentials out of the few.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, this is all new, and. So I talked to the person, anything you'd like to say, what do you do, this and that. Okay, thanks. Talk to you later.
What?
And that was it. So I think what I understand is they go talk on your behalf to try to get you the credentials, like you're legit or what have you. And I got it. So I don't know. I know a lot of, and there's a lot of people didn't get it, but I was just super fortunate to get it.
So now those wheels turn. You're like, okay, I got to line up stuff. Where do you decide what am I going to make? Because going to the Olympics, are you going to own, and this is pre-COVID. Are you thinking, I want to try to make pictures for Nikon, or not Nikon, but Nike or my athletes or USA? Where are you thinking?
I really didn't know what to expect. I had never been credentialed before. It was a totally new animal, especially with COVID. I didn't know what I was going to be able to.
But pre-COVID, right? So
yeah, it was pre-COVID. So pre-COVID,
isn't that crazy? Like,
yeah,
it's like a time period. We have to think, oh, pre-COVID, this is what it was like.
Yeah. So okay. Before we didn't know COVID was coming along.
Right. Because this is fall, probably 19.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I got to make sure I have a good fast laptop. I had to go buy a new laptop.
hard drive cards, like that kind of stuff.
I got to have a new phone because my new phone, I want to make sure I'm at the Olympics. I want to have the best phone to take the best pictures. I have to make sure I need the best kind of equipment. I need to go. So then I invest all this money to go buy all this stuff. And then all of a sudden it's postponed.
Right. What are you thinking when that hits the fan? Because your heart goes out to the world, but then you think out like, oh, my chance.
It was like, ugh. And I was just like, I hope I get a chance. I hope they don't cancel it. I was thinking like, oh, I got to go through the whole process now with the next Olympics in Paris, or I didn't know if the next one in 2024. I hope that I get it.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I'm going to get the credentials. I'm like, oh, well, that was my chance. So I got credentials, but I never got to go.
Or will my credentials even carry over if they,
that too.
have it?
That too. So,
because when you're planning for the Olympics, you're planning Olympics with the world and all the world's media.
Yes.
Now when they're rumoring about 21, now they're saying no one's going to be allowed.
Yeah, that might have been it. I was like, it might not even happen. I was thinking, I got a credential in my pocket and that's all I have to show for it. It's like a boycott. It's like my country got boycotted that year. I trained for 4 years and I never got to go.
Right.
So
that was your 1980 moment.
Yeah, exactly. But fortunately, it came through. But then with the COVID, that's another question about how everything was going to work and the difficulties in this.
So did that make you more hypersensitive to be aware of how COVID was being dealt with in Asia?
No.
Okay. Then where are you starting to think? Okay, are you keeping an ear on the stone of the Olympics to keep certain that it's going to happen?
Absolutely. Every piece of news I could hear about it, I was like waiting to know, am I going to go? Am I not going to go? Is it going to happen? What's going to happen? What kind of protocols, this and that? Absolutely. I had already accepted that it might not happen. I might not go. It might not happen. I'm going to have to just go try to apply for the next Olympics.
Oof, man.
So
that's rough.
I just kind of like, you just go with the flow.
Right.
And I was happy that I was telling myself, I'm Olympic credentials. Okay. Good for me, and just keep that going and try for the next one.
When you get that notification, Olympics are happening, and your credential's going to carry over, what are you thinking? Oh, here we go. But what's it going to be like?
Well, they said we got the notification out that it's going to happen, but I wasn't sure what's going to happen yet. There were all these rumors up to a couple months before that they were going to cancel it, right?
Weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Because they had another outbreak.
So I had to go buy my tickets and then pay for the accommodations and all this stuff. And you didn't know if within a couple of weeks they were going to say, oh, it's off. And then, okay, well, then how am I going to get my money back or refunds? Or my plane tickets, I'm going to keep it with Nippon Airlines and then maybe use it in 5 years. I don't know. But again, it's unnecessary for my brain to spin that way because I don't even know if that's what's going to happen. So I kind of just like, I'm not going to think about that. It's just like, it's there, it's reality, but I'm not going to dwell on it.
So you step onto that soil in Japan. Is that a relief? Like, okay, it's got to happen now. I'm here.
Oh, it was exhilarating. So much fun. It was exciting.
Okay, so how do you pack? What do you think I'm taking?
Gear wise?
Yeah. And yourself, because you got to be aware of, day to day weather. You're there for what were you there? 3 weeks, a month?
3 weeks.
Okay.
Well, I mostly always work in shorts.
Okay.
And t-shirts or like activewear t-shirts where you're sweating. And good shoes. You always have to have good running shoes.
Yeah, because you're on your feet.
And then if you need to, knee pads, because I always go up and down my knee. So I looked at the weather, and the weather was super humid all the time and pretty hot. And then there was rain. So I had to have my rain gear, which is a whole nother huge pile of clothes you got to put in with your rain boots and waterproof shoes in your suitcase. But mostly everything was pretty much shorts and t-shirts, and there was a couple long sleeves, hats, and that's about it.
Okay.
And again, you can only take a certain size suitcase, and there's weight, and there's too much other stuff I got to put in there. All my other camera gear that I don't carry with me. So it's limited. You're doing a lot of washing your clothes in the hotel bathtub and hanging up at night,
right?
And recycling. So Yeah, and then there's snacks because you don't know what kind of food you're gonna get, like power bars and oatmeal, and then there's your like vitamin C and stuff like that. You don't know what you're stepping into when you go to a foreign country.
How many masks did you take?
Mask. I took a bag of 30 masks.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, the masks. Yeah, that was fun. You're like, it was so humid and hot. Just people were laughing because there's like sweat dripping in your mask all day long,
Right.
and
Yeah.
everyone's dripping in sweat every day.
Did you shave? I know that sounds silly to say, but it's hot, it's humid, you got a mask on.
Every couple of days. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't start to shave, all of a sudden your mask is sticking and it's a mess.
Yeah.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah. It was. But for me, when I get in situations like that, I'm like, all right, life, bring it on. What else you got?
Right.
It's a challenge.
Come on.
I embrace it.
Yeah.
I like, let's go.
What gear did you take now? Actual camera gear.
So I took 3 bodies. I took 2 D5s and D6. I took my largest lens was a 300 2.8. I took then I stepped down to a 70-200. And then I took a 16 2.8 fisheye. I took my 50, 24 to 70 2.8. I think I took a 50 1.4.
Okay.
I took a teleconverter 1.4 or 1.7.
Now, did you only take a 3 because you knew you were going to be able to loan stuff out? A 4 or 5 or 6?
Yes, but I do not shoot long lenses. I don't like to sit up in the stands and shoot from far away. I like to be close to the action.
Okay.
This Olympics, I think I borrowed a 4 for a couple days from Nikon. This Olympics was kind of hard to get close from the moat and the distance from the track. Like you kind of really needed something like a 200 or more.
Right.
I used my teleconverter and my 300 more than I wanted to. But that's just my style of my shooting. I like to be close. I like wide angles better for myself. I like to be close to the action.
And that's just your style. That's the way you like to work.
Yes.
So let's say it was normal Olympics. Someone presented you with the magical vest. What would have been your lenses of choice then?
Field or outfield?
No, in the field. Like you got it all. You go wherever you want.
Oh.
What would you normally like to shoot with?
24 to 70, 70-200.
Okay.
If I had to have one lens, 70-200.
Okay.
I carry a belt with me. I usually have my fisheye in there. Oh, I brought my 12 to 24. I forgot about that. That's a fun lens too. It's a great lens. You got to really be close to use that per se, and it's the lens is not protected, so it's kind of scary.
Yeah, that big old beast sticking out there.
And I carry that, and I carry like lens wipes to wipe off water droplets or what have you, and a snack and my cell phone, and cards.
Lots of cards, right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
A couple cards.
Yeah. So what's your game plan? First time you're there at the Olympics, what's your first couple of days? What are you looking for on the track?
Of course, for first couple of days, it's mostly heats. I mean, I think there's a final at the end of the night. When there's a final, I kind of know what to do. I know where to be and what I have to get or what have you. But I always like the day before I went to the stadium when it was open, and I scouted everything out. I walked all around. I walked up high. I walked down below. I walked in the tunnel. I went on the field just to kind of see what my access was.
Okay.
Because when it's all happening, you don't have time to think. You got to go.
Yeah, you got to go to that spot.
Like, how do I get from the 300 meter mark to the 100 meter mark the fastest way? So the first I check out my angles and check out my access. So when it comes down to the day of the meet, things can change. They put up blocks and you can't go here from now on. You can't go there. So you always go early. But I don't always wing it. But I've been there so much. So I've been doing it for so long. I can kind of wing it and just go where I need to be and what interests me. But again, if there's something important where I have to get, I want to get her in the blocks, or I want to get him on the finish line, or I want to get this corner. I'm going to go there.
What draws you to track? Is it the beauty, the competition? What is it?
It's comfortable. It's exciting. It's adrenaline. When I look through that lens, I'm on the track with the athletes. I feel it. I get excited. I want to be out there. I think just because it's in my blood. and also because I know so many people out there. But when I'm in the moat or I'm on the track, I'm vocally like hooting or talking or going, "You see that?" or "Yeah, woo." Like I know what's going on and I feel it. I know I'm looking at them at the starting line nervous, or I'm looking at them pushing through on the corner or jumping or what have you. And I feel it. I'm fired up. So I'm drawn toward it. I wouldn't say a drug, but it feels amazing. Exciting.
I think for me, it's the closest you can get to, like, I call them the most beautiful people, right? Like where you can have a long jumper, a high jumper, a pole vault, and a 100-meter person, man or woman, and they look totally different. But it's the closest event to like fashion too, where love the sprinters. They're diva'd out. Their hair, their makeup, their nails, the shoes, the bling. Yeah. Like it's so beautiful. But then you get over to the big people, hammer throwers, shot putters. You know, they got chalk all up into their neck. They're sweating and they're big men with hairy beasts and they're throwing stones all over the place. But yet their movement is like a ballerina, right? They're spinning and twirling and throwing, and it's so beautiful. And if you can freeze it in that one moment, it's the most unbelievable aspect of that sport.
They're superheroes.
Yeah.
They have the great outfits, the colors. They have their instruments, their weapons, or what have you. They can jump higher than you. They can run faster than you. They're all sizes.
They just need a cape.
They have cape. Yeah.
That's it.
I think I've had capes before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I would totally roll out with a cape and take it off, put it in the basket when I was running the 100.
Why not? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I could shoot track all day long. I love track.
Yeah.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
There's so much you could do whatever you want there. There's so much variety.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's gorgeous. I could do it all the time. Because you were there during COVID for Tokyo, no fans, like we talked about earlier before we started the podcast. Was that a little weird for you, having your first Olympics so stripped down?
It was surreal with no fans there. Again, just knowing the feeling and the vibe and the energy of the crowd, and not even just the sounds, but the energy. There's something you can't explain it. It's electricity, and it wasn't there. And I'm thinking about the athletes, like, these are their first time, or this is their Olympics, and they don't have their families there. They don't have the crowd of just where it embraces you and carries you around the track, and there are victory laps and everything. It was kind of like, I was kind of bummed out for them.
Yeah, because you know how afterwards sometimes they'll win an event and they'll run around, do a lap with their flag, whether it's
how about
Great Britain or Ethiopia or whatever.
How about their parents weren't allowed there? Their coaches weren't allowed, like a lot of their coaches, their friends, their family, nobody they knew. The only people who were there were photographers.
Right.
And some media. So there was nobody they could like connect with and celebrate.
Yeah. And even then, to look at you got a mask on. So like there's no expression. Yeah. You could be smiling for them. They don't see it.
Yeah. No, I mean, when I had conversations with some athletes. Hey, good for you. How are you? And you could just see that, we connect and we talk, and the eyes lit up and yay, all right. So it was cool. And I've had them tell me, like, Jeff, you're the only person that like we knew. It's like so excited to share it with somebody because we don't know anybody. Right. So it's like human emotion. You want to share the emotion. Look for anybody you know.
Right. Yeah, because even then they probably didn't know all the officials.
No, nobody.
Everybody was stripped down. Yeah, it was very, very surreal.
Nobody.
Did you feel was that the first Olympics you went to without your dad?
Yes.
How was that?
I wish he was there. I wish everybody was there. It was a job. It was a totally different animal for me.
Right.
I was in quarantine. I was in quarantine. I was in the hotel room. I could only go on the shuttle bus. I couldn't go out. It was to and from. It was a job.
Right. A little different.
100%.
Did you feel like you got what you wanted with the restrictions placed upon you?
Photo-wise?
Yeah.
No. I always want more. I always think, oh, I should have been on this. I want to do this. There's always more I want to do.
Right. What was your day to day? So let's say day 6, right? You're kind of now in a rhythm. You get it. What was your day to day? Times you get up, what time did you end?
Woke up around 6. I forget what time the morning sessions were.
6, you're sleeping in.
Yeah. Well, if I go to sleep at 3.
Yeah.
3 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Get up at 6. I think I'd finish kind of editing, get some photos out, make sure all my camera gear, my batteries were charged from the night before. Put my cards in there, make sure they're formatted, load all my gear up, make sure, the clothes I want to bring.
Check the weather, make sure, right? No monsoon's coming.
Yeah, exactly. If I need rain gear or what have you. But I had my rain gear. It was in my locker at the stadium. We crashed lockers. And if I have to wear my rain shoes. If I had time, get the hotel breakfast of rubber eggs and white toast. So again, that's
great. That sounds like it held you.
Yeah. So again, I was glad that I brought my oatmeal or my little powdered vegetable green powder that I put in some water in the morning, and or drink some fruit juice that I bought at 1 a.m. when I came home from at the liquor store the night before.
And people don't understand, you're like an athlete in that regard for those 17 days. You got to get some decent food in you, and if you don't, it affects you the rest of the day. So you're eating with bad food. That's no good. Yeah.
So, I'm putting bars. I don't know when I'm going to get food. If there's an apple or banana or some kind of shop on the way, there's some rice crackers or something, you eat them.
Right. Take it.
I always lose weight when you go.
Yeah. What'd you lose?
10 pounds.
Yeah.
So, then it comes back, whatever. But
right.
But it's so I get up and.
But it's a hard 10 to lose. It's not like you're going in going, boy, I can't wait to drop some weight. You're losing it because you're burning out so much and not taking enough in.
You don't have time to do anything else.
Right.
You don't have time to eat or think or go look, or you don't have an hour to go look for food.
Right.
Because maybe that hour you might want to sleep because you only had 3 hours. It's very physical.
Yeah. So many guys, people don't understand, so many guys get sick at the Olympics. Golden got ridiculously sick in Beijing. It just happens. You're just grinding through it. Everybody's like, I can't wait to go to the Olympics. Man, it ain't fun. It's fun, but it's work. It is
a super challenge and very difficult in every aspect. But for me, when you're doing it, my adrenaline is just, I'm so fired up.
Right. So you get your eggs, you get your breakfast, you get going.
So I get going. So then I have to go get a shuttle. I have to get a bus because you can only take the Tokyo sanctioned Olympic buses because we're all in quarantine. We can't mix. We can't go any restaurants. We can't go anywhere. Yeah, we can't go anywhere. You're not even allowed to go to. I think we were allowed to go to the food mart, little 7-Eleven style, but you were only allowed to go out for 5 minutes or something like that.
Jesus.
So you can only go. We had to have tracers on our phones where the government knew where you were and the proximity and this and that. And let's say if we were hanging out there and you got COVID and they knew that we were close together, I'd be in quarantine for a couple of days. But okay, that's another story.
Right.
So then I get all my gear.
So you don't take your phone with you wherever you go.
Yeah, you have to. It has to be on. So then I get all my gear. I got my backpack. I got all my clothes I'm wearing. I got my wheelie bag full of my 40 pounds of gear, and I have to walk 10 minutes to where the bus pickup is, wait for the bus, get on the bus, and now either it's a hour ride or half an hour ride, or could be you might have to shuttle to another bus, which is another half an hour, so that could be 2 hours to get to where you want to go.
Wow, they kept you really close to the stadium, huh?
But it didn't matter because they wanted you to go to the transport mall before you got to it doesn't matter if your stadium was 15 minutes away. If your stadium, your event was 15 minutes from your hotel, you still had to go an hour and a half to the transfer mall to catch another bus to go back. So your ticket would take you 2.5 hours to go, where it would only take 15 minutes. After a while,
couldn't walk it, huh?
Yes. No, you're not allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
So after a while, they had these taxi vouchers, and I was taking taxis, not going all the way to but you learn these things by doing it. The first day, you're like, what is this? You're 5 hours on a bus.
Maddening. Yeah.
And lugging stuff around. And then it starts raining and there's no shelter.
Jesus.
So, and they're sweating.
Now, mind you, they've had years to prepare for this and an extra year, and still that it's not run efficiently.
Yeah. I mean, it's so huge, they're going to miss in a couple spots. But, so then I get the bus, I get to the stadium. And you go in and you check, you wheel up, and you still have to walk another 10 minutes to go through all the protocols, get to the media room, or your locker.
Sure.
You go through, they check you, and you have to do COVID test every day. So I have to spit in a tube every single day. I have to log in onto my telephone, onto their website, and say I'm feeling okay. Then I have to drop off my COVID test every day before I go to the stadium. Go to the stadium, get ready, get situated, maybe drink some tea or water, a banana, which they have in the media room, and maybe a piece of chocolate, and then you go shoot for 5-6 hours. Come back, you can download or edit. Luckily, for track, I was only 15 minutes away, so I took a cab and I go edit back in my hotel room. I'd order some Uber Eats. I'd edit for an hour and a half, and if I could, I'd sleep for an hour and then go back. And a lot of people didn't have that luxury. They sat in that media room and edited, and they slept on the floor.
Oh.
So, I mean, you know how it is.
Yeah, brutal.
But if I was shooting, like when I shot tennis and swimming and gymnastics, and that was far away, I couldn't do that.
How much other sports did you want to shoot other than track?
I want to shoot everything, but it really mattered on what was fed into my schedule and how long it took to get there.
Right. That's always the issue, right?
And also
time.
Yeah, and also if it was a marquee event like swimming finals or gymnastics finals, you had to get a ticket from your. Yes, you couldn't just go willy-nilly. I heard this is new this year. You had to get a ticket from your federation that allowed you to shoot that night.
What?
Yeah. So every track and field, you had to have a ticket to get in there because it was a marquee event. So
they just give a book of tickets to David Barnett because that guy goes to wherever he wants.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he had to go to someone to get the tickets.
Right.
So, like U.S. U.S. Olympic Committee, they have sign-up sheets outside their little office, makeshift office in their media center, and you could sign up for what you wanted. Like if you want to go to so-and-so swimming finals that night on that day, you could apply for it, and the next day maybe you get that ticket, you can go. Because they didn't want to let a lot of people in there because of COVID.
Oh my gosh!
So I was lucky enough I got gymnastics and swimming and tennis.
How was it being in the stadium, no fans, and then worrying about your backgrounds?
You know, I only took a couple pictures that I focused on showing like how empty it was, using the stands as no backgrounds. I mainly shot.
Because historically, you want to get it.
Yeah.
You're at an historical event.
Yeah, and a couple times I showed it. The awesome stadium. The stadium was awesome. It was incredible.
Isn't that sad? They built this beautiful stadium and no one's ever going to see it.
They did something cool though with the seats. They were kind of spotted different colors, so when it was blurred out, it looked like fans. It wasn't just one color. But most of my photos were pretty much wide open aperture, so I blurred out the background
as best as you can. Right? Yeah, sure.
So which I tend to do mostly. In my photos, so I really didn't, it didn't mess with me. I was going to say something I forgot. Well, did you plan in your mind before you left, like I want to get this, or is it happening and unfolded in front of you? You just captured it. I didn't think it that way because I didn't really know where I was going to be or what I was going to be allowed to be.
Okay.
But once I get there, I know what I want.
Okay.
And maybe I might want to get this shot, but I can't get there within the next 5 minutes because I'm at the other side of the stadium and I won't be able to get it, so I have to adjust. So, yeah, I mean, the morning before, the day before, or that night, I'm like, okay, I look at the schedule and I say, okay, for this race, I have to be here, and then the next race is way over on the other side of stadium, so I have to run over here. I can stay here, and I have to at 12:45. I have to leave to this section and get to here by this time. You kind of plan it out.
How did they deal with the stadium in regards to you just couldn't walk the bowl from one side to the other? You have to go out the tunnel, walk around. And
Some places.
There's nobody there.
Yeah, it changed. A couple times it changed because then they figured out that the athletes were coming through and they didn't want the media getting within 10 feet of the athletes. So when the athletes walked by, we couldn't go that way. So they made the media go walk around up 50 stairs to walk around. We couldn't go here anymore because that's where they didn't want certain groups crossing.
Right. Don't want to cross-contaminate.
Yeah.
Did you go to the Olympics with clients already in the bag? Like, okay,
a couple, not many.
Okay, so everything else was
I turned down
post Olympics.
I turned down a lot.
Okay, is that for your freedom?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're not pegged to having to shoot only the triple jump.
Yeah.
You can shoot whatever you want.
Or yeah.
Yeah. Right. Just go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. That's what you want.
And I say I'm super fortunate. I realize that I'm able to do that.
Yeah. Right. No, there's a lot of people, if you're shooting for an agency or a newspaper or whatever, you got to shoot certain things. So you were fortunate in that regard.
Yeah.
If you knew what you knew now going to the same Olympics, you're leaving tomorrow, what would you do different?
I never thought of it. I don't know. I kind of just really accepted everything how it was and just went with it. I mean, maybe I would have learned how to navigate the transportation system earlier and not waste hours and hours on a bus.
But you weren't the only one. I'm sure a lot of people lost those hours.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, the photographers are a tight group, and you're all trying to help each other out and give each other advice as the days go, because they don't tell you everything. You figure things out through experience. So your buddy goes, "Hey, I did this last night. Oh, thanks. Really? Oh, yeah. Do this. Don't do this anymore. Use this way. Don't go here. Do this." So it's kind of a cool camaraderie that we all like, teach each other, the easier ways to do things. Changing things up, going there. Maybe, again, I don't like lugging around huge lenses, but a bigger lens would have been easier for me to get more shots.
Like a 500, so it's not so heavy?
Yeah. But, yeah.
I think people forget about the 500. Like they go 4 or 6 or the 2 to 4 with the tele. But a 5 is fantastic. It's light. It's not that massive.
Not that light.
Well, but
with your other bodies
but
and
it's
other
not
lenses.
A 6.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right, and I think they have that 500 f5.6.
I think so.
Yeah, so that's nice.
I like 2.8s.
I know. If they made a 600 2.8, I'd buy it. Oof. Yeah,
it's $50,000.
Yeah, what the hell? It's only money.
Just borrow it.
Yeah.
I tried using before the those big zoom the
2 to 500.
Yeah, those zooms, and I'm not crazy about
I don't like
the
them.
clarity and this and that. That's why I always go back to my 2.8 primes.
Yeah.
Again, but I did use this. I did use my 300 with my teleconverter a lot, so it's like a 500.
Okay.
And I got some decent stuff.
That's what you want.
But yeah, I mean, I wish that I go back to what I told Nikon. I said I want lighter lenses. It's a little heavy.
Yeah, it does. Where do you get your inspo from?
Oh, as far as I can remember, I'd go before the internet. You go to newsstands and I buy American Photography and books and photo magazines and Sports Illustrated and this and that. And I would always appreciate and LA Times, a newspaper, wherever I saw sports photography or other photographs, and I always look at the photographers' names. And that's what I would do, and I still do it. I acknowledge, I recognize good stuff that my eyes pulled toward, and again, there's a lot of other photographers I look up to, and I like how they compose. I like their photographs, and it's exciting for me to see them. I never met them before, and I see them in the field, and I talk to them and introduce myself, and we talk about camera gear or something like that. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Where do you get it now? Are you cruising the internet? Do you go on to, Instagram? Obviously, I mean, you got a beautiful wall of books here, but there's so few bookstores anymore.
Yeah.
Where do you now try to
internet,
take a peek at stuff?
Websites and Instagram.
Yeah. That seems to be everybody's kind of go-to.
I don't even know where. I mean, there might be one newsstand left that I know nearby.
Right. But even then, it doesn't have nearly the stuff you want.
Yeah, it's always on my phone. It's in your hand. It's in your pocket. It's on your phone or on your desk.
Right.
But I always look for fun new stuff, photo sites and galleries, and if I see somebody, I look up that photographer and I look at their work.
What's the best photo you shot in Tokyo?
I have a favorite photo. And sometimes when people ask me what's my favorite photo, my best photos are the ones that mean something to me.
Right. Yes.
And
so often that's true.
That's maybe the story behind it, per se. There's a photograph. I haven't published it yet. It was during the semifinals of the women's semifinal 400. And it was Allison Felix.
Okay. And
I've known her for so many years. And first of all, she didn't know if she was going to make the team. First of all, in the U.S. trials. So she made the team. So you go in the first round of the Olympics. She's going to make the first round. Okay. For the semifinals to get into the final of the Olympics, big question. You had to run a really fast time.
Right. You got to make a point. Yeah.
You got to be in the top 8 in the world. And, we know Allison Felix's story. She's one of the greatest ever to do the sport. She's in her early 30s. She had a kid. There are all these 20-year-olds, rock stars out there who are like right there. So I think it was a huge challenge for her. I knew it. The track world knows it. I'm sure she knew it. I said, you know what? This is the moment. The day before, I was in the tunnel and I saw where the athletes come onto the field, and I was down. I probably wasn't supposed to be there because it was too close to the athletes and it was in the way. But I kind of finagled my way in there and stayed back with my 24-70. And luckily, the guy who was in charge of letting the athletes come out there with those little talking to the TV cameras, mm-hmm. he saw me and he goes, "Hey, Jeff Cohen, oh my God, I follow you. I love your work. You're the best. We love you. Oh my God, you're the coolest." So the guy who was in charge of that area knew me.
And recognized you with
me.
Half your face covered.
Well, I had my
your credential.
Yeah, my credential.
Right. You didn't have it on backwards this time?
No. This is real. Yeah, I didn't have to hide. So that helped. So he knew me, so he allowed me to be there. I probably wasn't allowed to be there. So I said, okay, Allison's going to come out. This is semifinal. I went down through the tunnel, through areas where maybe I wasn't supposed to be. I went down to the little indoors, and I waited for her to come out the tunnel. I got her coming out, stretching, warming up, right before she walked out onto the Olympic track. And I shot some photographs of her in the tunnel warming up before she stepped on the track. And for me, that was kind of like a pinnacle moment, because I think for her and for myself, like, we knew this could be it. This could be her final performance ever. And this is her by herself preparing to step out there for a crazy challenge. So that's my most memorable moment and photograph, and I'll put it out there soon.
What was the one you wish you had over because it just didn't either happen, you missed it, it just didn't click? Wrong spot, wrong lens, no card. Seeing demo is always a nightmare on the back here.
Yeah. There are a lot of moments where I wish I could have gotten there faster, or I moved away the wrong time, or I couldn't get through or somebody else was there before me, or I couldn't get past the usher. I had a moment, what was it, where my focus was wrong. I think a 400 hurdle final or something like that, and I missed a focus. But then I got a couple. I missed the one shot that I wanted, but then a couple steps after I got it. There's always something.
Right.
I always want to do better. I was like, oh, I should have been here. I'm always learning. Mm-hmm. So the next time, hopefully, I can do that.
Right.
But I don't remember a specific moment. There's some with the Olympics. There's always 100 guys here. I'm like, okay, they've been waiting there for hours. Like, that's the spot. I can't get there, so I'm gonna have to gamble and maybe go 50 meters off the turn, and hopefully there's gonna be a celebration there or something.
Right.
So you kind of you adjust. It's like a dance.
Mm-hmm.
So one moment I don't know. This happens all the time, and I forget about it. I go to the next one.
It does.
I can't think about it and dwell on it.
Right. Got to have short-term memory. Just keep moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to young photographers learning track? Because as we were talking earlier, track's tough. It's a dangerous sport. There's a lot of moving parts. You got metal being thrown. You got big people running around, jumping, officials, TV. So what advice would you give to people learning and understanding how to photograph track?
Safety is number one. Like you said, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of people running all over the place, things being thrown. Watch your surroundings. be respectful of everybody. You don't have to get every single shot. It's okay to miss a shot. My main thing is to be kind to people, listen to your officials, have relationships with the people in charge, and that'll take you your furthest in the sport, I think, in the profession. Being a good person and respectful. But just be careful. Always look over your back, and you don't always have to get the shot. You can just stay there and let it go by. It's not worth the risk of impeding an athlete or causing them to crash or run into you or blocking somebody else out or what have you. But yeah, and watch your elders, watch the people around, and learn from afar.
Yeah, being aware is track, boy. It's important.
Don't run out onto the freeway.
Yeah,
it's a freeway out there. I have had close calls, not that many, but you learn. I'm always looking left and right. I don't care if there's no race going. I'm looking left and right before I step on the track.
Right.
You don't know if someone's warming up or what have you. You have to. You can't just look one way, and it's like stepping into the middle of the street.
Right.
Yeah. But just go slow.
What's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, on track, I'm pretty open right now. I have some friends and some other people asking me to do other sports. I'm open to it. Like I just shot a college football game in Las Vegas about a month ago. But for track,
how was that?
How was that?
Yeah,
it was fun. It was challenging. I don't shoot much football, but I love it.
Right.
Again, I love the challenge.
I saw some Iowa State on your website.
Yeah. That was it. And it was super
What the
fun.
hell took you out to Iowa State?
I have a friend who shoots for Iowa State. It was in Vegas.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it was super. But those pictures, those were from years ago out there.
Right. Yeah.
But it was challenging and super fun. He needed some help, and so it was great.
There's worse things to do.
So for next year, we have the World Championships in Oregon.
Okay.
I got U.S. trials coming up. I would love to do the European circuit, which is so much fun. It's different than American track circuit.
Oh yeah.
All this great. Milan and Paris and there's London and like so many Brussels. But I couldn't do it last year because of COVID, and I didn't know if I was going to have to be quarantined or what. American coming over, so I just said forget it.
Right. It could be a pain in the butt.
I would love to go this year. I would love to do European Championships, do the whole circuit. It all depends on the schedules for the World Championships and U.S. trials, though.
How's the new stadium in Portland?
In Eugene, it is beautiful to look at. It is kind of difficult to shoot.
Oh, now why is that?
When they built it, they built it for aesthetically pleasing, I believe. You can ask any photographer. They didn't build any TV platforms. There's no area for finish line head-ons. It's all seats right there. There's
really?
The walkway around the track. It's not that big, so it's really difficult, and for photographers to get around, and there's no like photo places. They're going to have to eliminate a bunch of seats and put platforms for the World Championships for the head-on.
Oh,
and it's amazing, and it's kind of like interesting because Nike's so huge there, and their money kind of probably helped to build it a lot. And without photographs or TV, you're not going to sell any product. There's not one TV platform.
How did they screw that up?
It looks nice.
It does. It does looks pretty.
Yeah.
But sometimes pretty's not functional.
So
right? It's like having a Ferrari. You can't get the family in it.
It's not super functional for a mass, and so it's going to be. There's a big question on how they're going to handle hundreds of international press there. Whew. So we'll see.
Wow.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a challenge. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Bring it on, life. That's it. Well, that's a great motto to have, right? Just don't pout. Just keep going. Forge forward.
Well, I tell people life, it's like a dance. Everything in life is like a dance. You're at a party or some girl wants to pull you on the dance floor and think, oh, we're dancing foxtrot. Well, I don't know how to do that, but I'll give it a shot. Let's go. Bring it on.
Right.
You may look like a fool, but at least you're out there doing it, and maybe you'll learn.
Yeah.
So
she'll like you for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go. You just adjust the best you can, and you're out there.
Yeah.
So it's like a dance. Bring it on.
Absolutely.
What else you got?
Let's go. Jeff, I can't thank you for your time today, dropping some knowledge and listening to your story and,
thank you.
Figuring out how COVID worked in Tokyo. That's bonkers.
Yeah. Nice.
Jesus. You made it through a monsoon and quarantine and bad food and 10-pound weight loss.
All worth it.
All worth it. We got to do this again.
Absolutely.
Let's do it in Europe at some track meet.
That'd be cool.
Or just, come down to Irvine. We'll do Steve Scott's Irvine. Yeah, we'll shoot that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Thanks,
We'll
Matt.
do it. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so
really
much
fun.
for your time.
Really fun. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Jeff Cohen. Please click the like button if you enjoyed the episode. Always subscribe, and you can find all of our past shows on the website at justagoodconversation.com. Thank you for listening.